My continuing research into the Charles Hall story has led me to a newspaper article which ran in early January 1951 that many point to as evidence of the building of an underground base for the tall white aliens. This project has often been referred to as the Indian Springs Project. This article has several interesting facts in it, but for now I'll focus on the McKee Construction Company, which it mentions. Initially, that name alone was too little to go on, so I had to dig for other newspaper sources related to this. I found another article that ran in the Reno Evening Gazette on January 23, 1951. The interesting part is the two paragraphs of this article which state, "There are no additional employment requirements on the construction work initially started by the Robert E. McKee Construction Company earlier this month. For security reasons," he explained, "workers on the McKee project have been largely McKee employees who already had security clearance." This article provided the next lead, which was the full name of the construction company I needed to research, the Robert E. McKee Construction Company, which I later found was headquarters in El Paso, Texas in 1951. An excellent source of information on that area of Nevada in the 1950s is a publication by the U.S. Department of Energy titled Origins of the Nevada Test Site. It gives a thorough historical narrative of the development of the Nevada nuclear test site and is freely available online. I suggest that people interested in this area of the country and its many related subjects give it a read. Specifically, there are 3 quotes from the work that tie the Robert E. McKee Construction Company to the area. For the sake of brevity, I won't read the entire relevant quotes, but you can pause the video and read each of them if you like. The first quote reads, "Meanwhile, 2 of Los Alamos' building contractors, Robert E. McKee Company and Reynolds Electric and Engineering Company, began work at the site. The McKee Company acquired a vacant garage at 817 South Main Street in Las Vegas to serve as an in-town headquarters." On a side note, this building still exists in Las Vegas and can be seen in Google Earth. The second quote reads, "A contract for the project," the newspaper stated, "had been awarded to the McKee Construction Company, which built the Los Alamos aid plant in New Mexico and was setting up offices on South Main Street." Finally, the third quote reads, "The release stated that the new Las Vegas field office was a sub-office of the Santa Fe operations office, noted that the construction by the McKee Company was already underway at the test site, and listed Ralph P. Johnson as the manager of the field office." To give a little background, the Robert E. McKee Construction Company had a long history of being a trusted contractor for the U.S. government. They were awarded many contracts on government projects, which included military installations in the Panama Canal Zone, the Los Alamos National Laboratory, and multiple buildings at the U.S. Air Force Academy, which included the iconic chapel. Now, with the McKee Company firmly linked to the government and to the restricted area of New Mexico, let's return to the 2 newspaper articles mentioned earlier. Anyone researching this story could easily dismiss the newspaper articles as being related to the early U.S. nuclear weapons program. I also did myself. On the surface, that is what they appear to be, but if you dig farther, you will find clues that do not support that conclusion. The first newspaper article specifically states that the project is not related to the national nuclear program, so that removes that possible explanation for the article. Secondly, it says the cost would be $300 million. In modern-day dollars, it would be approximately $2.2 billion. Thirdly, the article specifically says that the project is to construct housing at the Indian Springs base, and the construction contract was awarded to the McKee Construction Company. This is a photo of Indian Springs Air Force Base in 1951 that I obtained from an Air Force document. This is a Google Earth image of Indian Springs Air Force Base, now named Creech Air Force Base, in 1999. If you compare the two, it's very difficult to find $300 million worth of construction on the base. I contacted the Robert E. and Evelyn McKee Foundation and inquired about anything in their records concerning the construction associated with the Indian Springs project. The response I got was that the only job listing in their records was for the Atomic Energy Commission in Las Vegas, Nevada, which was awarded on December 19, 1950. The construction work ran from December 23, 1950 to May 23, 1951, and the total contract was approximately $680,000. That leaves a huge amount of work and money missing, but without buying a copy of the company's job history from the foundation, I can't get access to it for further research. While trying to find out more about the Robert E. McKee Construction Company, I began to unravel its more recent history. In 1972, Robert E. McKee Incorporated was bought out by Santa Fe Industries. In the 1980s, Santa Fe Industries was going to merge with Southern Pacific and be called the Southern Pacific Santa Fe Railroad, but the merger was denied by the Interstate Commerce Commission. As a result of this, the company sold Southern Pacific and retained all non-rail interests. It then changed its name to the Santa Fe Pacific Corporation. In 1987, Santa Fe Pacific Corporation sold off the Robert E. McKee Construction Company to Jacobs Engineering Incorporated. Today, Robert E. McKee Incorporated is a subsidiary of Jacobs Engineering Group Incorporated. I've made multiple phone calls trying to track down Robert E. McKee Incorporated. Most of the information on the internet in regards to their address is incorrect. One lady at Jacobs Engineering Group remarked that they were a subsidiary a long time ago. I made several attempts to contact the Jacobs Public Affairs Administrator, but none of my phone calls were ever returned. This is a very, very cold trail, and one can expect that many of the detailed records of the Robert E. McKee Construction Company have been lost or destroyed over the years. This, and the fact that the company has changed ownership multiple times, will make further research into the Indian Springs project and its connection to the Tall Whites very difficult indeed. On a final note, in the course of my research, there have been several coincidences and interesting associations pop up. One is the McKee name. In my previous video, Evidence for the Tall White Aliens Part 2, the biologist that responded to my email was named McKee. Is he of any relation to the McKees of the McKee Construction? I have no idea, but still a funny coincidence.